Happy 4th of July, everyone. This is Todd at TEK Landscape and Design, and today I'm going to take you through a tour of my 9-year-old garden. Flowers of the day today, a lot of bright faces, a lot of fireworks kicking at the same time, and here we even got my flea bag over here, and he's going to help us guide us through the tour. My real name is Zeus, and I'm a ladies' man. And here we have a knockout rose. And it's supposed to be about 5 to 6 foot tall, but since we had such a beautiful winter time, I had to cut her on back, and she is kicking booty. And below that, we have some sedum. Creepin' Jenny is intermingling with it, growing very nicely. And a Stella d'Oro daylily, and a cutting from a Francis Williams hosta. Not bad. It's getting a little bit of sun. It'll get about 2 to 3 hours of sun, and then she's back in the shade where she loves it. And right underneath it is called a perennial called the tiny monster geranium. It's not quite tiny. One plant will spread 4 to 8 foot wide. If you've seen my pictures yesterday, you will see one tiny monster growing in between some black-eyed Susans. But here we have another Stella d'Oro and an Asiatic orange daylily, which is sparkling. It is now 3 years old. And they all sit underneath a smoke bush. This bush started off at about 2 foot tall about 5 years ago, and it will turn into about a 15 to 20 foot tall blooming tree. It's already bloomed already, and I cut back all the blooms. We're just going to enjoy the purple color. And here off to the right, it's called a Great Expectations hosta, full sun tolerant, and underneath some coral bells called heuchera. Back in the day, this one was a volcanic red bloomer. Yeah, a little mangled grass. It's getting too much water here, but that's okay. This is called the switchgrass, or I'm sorry, the Miscanthus red flame grass. And off my entry, we have a couple of bees. That's a good sight. I haven't seen any bees this year. It's kind of depressing because at this time they would be swarming all my flowers. This Great Expectations hosta is in bloom. There are 3 of them planted in front of a Nico blue hydrangea, which is the old school hydrangea. Now it's called summer, but we'll still call this one a Nico blue. Since I planted it 8 seasons ago, it's still kicking booty. And this here's a PJM rhododendron. Doesn't require any pruning. It's one of my favorite broadleaf evergreens I like to plant in people's homes, and it flowers pinkish purple, similar to this New Guinea impatiens color in the spring. Right here I've called a perennial called heuchera, Palace Purple. 8 years, very bold and very much in the shade, but she's not doing well this year because of all the rain. I'm getting too much moisture sitting here. As you can see, all the gardeners here, they're not always perfect, but I will tell you I am one slamming color infested garden here. Here's a carpet rose red and a perennial geranium roseanne. Perennial roseanne geranium is one of my favorite geraniums to plant. It blooms from June to frost and has a fall color of orange, red, and yellow. A Happy Returns the daylily, blooming the canary yellow, and behind it a tricolor beech tree, right now in bush form, will grow monstrous, 20 to 30 foot tall. Hosta Patriot, 9 years been in the ground, full sun tolerant, going to be blooming here in about a month. This is a transplant called the Herta rudbeckia, not the Goldstrom rudbeckia. This blooms a little later, blooms a little longer, and still has the same color as a black-eyed Susan. Back here, my little pennisedums aren't doing very well. They don't like the wintertime. They like it hot and they like it dry. So they're coming back, and I've hit them with Thrive and Alpha Thrive products, which I use and go organic. I do not use Miracle Grow or any chemicals in my garden. My garden is hand-pulled weeds and no spraying here. And we got a little hornet. Maybe he might do some feeding. Some spent Asiatic daylily blooms, and I have a daylily about ready to pop. Yeah, old school, what's called Japanese bloodgrass, and that's a rhizomatic spreader. Rhizomatic means spreads just like grass. Underground roots spread and connect each other and feed each other, and they form what you call grass. What's right now here are these very tall, beautiful smelling, pinch the foliage, smells exactly like mint. They are mint, part of the mint family called Monarda. Monarda, in layman's terms, is bee balm, and these are going to be blooming red. I have some in the back. You plant one flower, and in 3 years you'll have 3,000 flowers. Some could call that invasive, but I call that awesome. They used to be here in abundance, and for some reason they didn't do well this year, but they are doing well in the back and some other places. Another PJM rhododendron makes a nice little buffer over my NIPSCO gas tank. Some more creeping jenny, and creeping jenny you can take from pots and just keep on planting. So from one plant you can get many plants in years. It's a great money saver. Behind here I got an old carpet rose. Rosa was getting crowded out here by this massive, beautiful Diablo 9-bark. And this is my plant of my garden. This is called the Sum and Substance Hosta. And look at this monster. One plant, 6 foot wide, waist high, extremely pimped out, extremely awesome. This started off from a 3-gallon pot about 6 years ago. So if you like this Sum and Substance Hosta, tolerates full sun, does some part shade. I have it planted in the east, but as you see I have no eaves, so it is tolerating full sun quite well. In my back is called a Summer Sweet. Summer Sweet is a very naturalistic plant, and it's going to tassel some white blooms. Some bloom pink, mine blooms white, and it's covering my air conditioner. Great buffer there. With an old school gold flame spirea. Gold flame spirea is kind of dissipated in the days. Don't really plant them here, get a little too massive. It is replaced by the magic carpet spirea, which grows half its size and still has the same characteristics of the gold flame spirea. In the front is a favorite, perennial favorite, called the Zagreb coreopsis, and it blooms this color, this off rustic color, all summer long. And I like to pair it with the carpet rose Rosa. And in front are already bloomed by a Covo geranium. In front of it a beautiful zebra grass, and this sucker is already too high. Might cut her down. She likes to get about 10-15 feet tall with her blooms. Needs some staking, as it can't hold its own self after the blooms get too heavy. It starts splitting everywhere. This is an awesome, it's doing the best it has been in 9 seasons. It's called a red flame grass, called Miscanthus red flame. And it turns red in the fall with white plumes. Very awesome color for fall. And another semi-green ornamental grass called the Carex ice stance, and that's also rhizomaceous type root spreading. You plant 1, 2, 3 plants about 2 feet from each other. This is what you're going to get in about 6 to 9 years. I have been transplanting in different parts of my yard with this. This is a great money-saving type plant. In the back is already spent Salvia East Frisian, my most used perennial that I use in everybody's gardens because it just blooms longer. And the bees hit it, the bugs hit it. It's a great little accent plant. Planted by itself, planted in a mass garden. Here we got another PJM rhododendron. This one I got some storm damage. I've been babying it with some Thrive products, which is mycorrhizae, and an organic solution to gardening. Instead of fertilizing, I use all mycorrhizae products. Don't matter if it's Dr. Earth, Thrive, Monrovia. It's mycorrhizae, and mycorrhizae is your organic solution. It is not chemical, and it is not fertilizer. But it is an awesome root hormone, and I put it in my garden. As you can see, my garden is kicking ass. Here's some black-eyed Susans. This is from one planting. Black-eyed Susans are the Rudbeckia Goldstrom from old back in the day, and this you can transplant and transplant and transplant. And coming around here to my pear tree, which was a transplant from the community center. Planted at around 20 foot tall, which was a 5-inch caliper, and it is kicking booty. Flowering pear trees do not like water, but for some reason this one does, and it's just going apeshit. Right here is a Penicillium transplant. I transplanted about 4 inches tall 3 seasons ago, and it is in a water boggy area and it is liking it. Eveline Veronica, awesome Veronica, one of my favorites, carmine pink. And we got a bumblebee working hard. All right, good sign. We need some more of those in this area. They dissipated big time. It's kind of depressing. There's a creeping Jenny. It's awesome. Another take it from one pot, take another cuttings. More bang for your buck type ground cover. That's gold. And then here's just a mishmash of all kinds of Modarda, Rudbeckia, geranium, Max Free geranium, which is the carmine pink bloomers. They have already bloomed early in spring, which are awesome this year. And in here I got an Agastache, hyssop. And hyssop was the actual correct name to say it. And this foliage smells like black licorice. Here's our Monarda in bloom, red. This one's not as full as height. They will get about 4 to 5 feet tall. Very awesome. Here's Mr. Fleabag chilling out in the shade, and he is accenting a bald cypress tree which was planted 4 foot in 2008 at 4 foot tall, and it is almost reigns my supreme growing tree here. Loves heat, loves hot, loves boggy, you name it, clay, dirt, and I have a peat moss based soil, so it's really tearing the shit up over here. Awesome Heucheras Caramel. Heuchera Caramel will do full sun and full shade. As you can see, getting full shade and get a little bit of sun in the afternoon. Some more seafoam, coral bells, Monarda, Coreopsis, some pyramidal junipers, real cedar trees. That's the eastern cedars. Some Francis Williams hostas, and those are cuttings from the back. I'll show you the back here in a little bit. And this is just a little guitar pick shape accent I threw in my yard just to break up some of the grass, because I have lots of grass and weeds. I don't care about my grass, I care about my plants. And as you can see, my plants are rocking. Here in the little corner here was something I just threw into the ground and started myself a morning light maiden grass, as you see here, with some carex, and those are cuttings from the mother plant I just showed you ago. Some Herta black-eyed Susans, a dead mops gold cypress, and some zebra grasses. And a nice, this was a transplant weeping cherry tree, and it didn't make it from the brutal 100-degree temperatures last year. And then here's a nice center focal point underneath a green ash tree, which I do treat. The only chemical I do put in the ground here is for this to keep the borers off of my beautiful ash. I do have a nice ash. Everybody should have a nice ash. This has beautiful colors here. Stellador, Odale, at least 3 of them. 3 Roseanne geraniums. In the middle are transplant purple coneflower, almost popping Herta black-eyed Susans. Catmints, red carpet roses, and a mini zebra grass. Ain't quite so many. It does get about 5 foot tall, but it doesn't get 10 to 15 foot tall like my other zebra grasses. It is a nice center accent. And what do we have here? An awesome growing creeping Jenny. This was a cutting from an annual plant that I had last year, from little 4 inches wide, and it's just going apeshit. A little tour of my fence. My fence was installed by myself personally. I did not have a plan. I did not have a plot. All I did was have a shovel and an urn. My fence is awesome. After it's filled out, you cannot see between it. Right now I am in pruning zone, and it's just going crazy. At the entryway of my fence, I have some pots, which I love to do for people. This is a purple fountain grass, Mexican heather, some intensia in the background, and calibrachoa, red. I love the red calibrachoa. This is called a Shenandoah switchgrass, which is just on steroids. I've split it 3 times and gave it to friends, and it just keeps on growing and growing and growing with the help of some gophers doing some root pruning. This is doing very well. It's a black-eyed Susan, and it's been there for 9 years. This is called calamagrostis, is the botanical name, and we all know that's feather reed grass, and they do well in every situation. Feather reed grass starts off green, turns this copper, and fades to blonde. An awesome low maintenance. Can use it for hedges, mass plantings, screens, individual, specimen, you name it. This pennisetum is having a little difficulty, but it's coming right back with some Alpha Thrive products and liquid hormones. My garden is rocking. Here's my center focal point, and here I love planting pots. I got a blue lobelia in front of a lantana, nice southwest plantings, a self-sowing annual which is spitting seeds everywhere, and I'm planting it all over my yard. Cleome. Some red petunias. Hiding in the background's a Happy Returns Daylily. What do we have here? A full sun blue moon hosta. It's supposed to be in shade. I don't know. I think the guys are wrong. It's been here for 4 seasons. It's really crammed in an awkward spot, but it's blooming, and she loves it. She gets a lot of water. She gets a lot of attention. She gets a lot of love because she's in my garden. And then here we got some yarrow, botanical yarrow, used in many teas and concoctions. And a morning light maiden grass slammed between 3 junipers that are pruned already for the year, and a calamagrostis, Japanese silvergrass, in back of a Chicago luster viburnum, and next to it a gold arborvita, thuya. I already pruned it up a little bit. She's done for the year in pruning, and this is my only ornamental grass I have ever trimmed because it was already 9 foot tall in June. Sick. And a Nana coreopsis. I'm going to go around the other side here and show you what's going down because my garden is rocking. Annual pot, blue, gold, and red. Firecracker fountain grass, red petunia. Yellow petunias are waves, and a blue lobelia. These are where my creeping Jenny first originated. They didn't overwinter well, but they did well and better in the ground, so some of them are coming back, and I leave what it is. I don't ever tear out. Intensia and lantana. Switch my pots around so they do get full sun, and here's my little palm tree. Some coleus, lantana,